MV3 Traders Futures Trade Radio is brought to you by The Ultimate Trader's Guide, your one-stop shop for the most valuable income-producing information on the internet. Go to ultimatetradersguide.net to learn more. Link in the description below. All right, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? How we doing? The market is live, and we're starting to continue some nice little inventory hunt. They picked up some inventory overnight, and then they did their business with that, kind of lifting the supply right before the open. Then at the last couple of minutes, we saw some selling that took us back into my back to that overnight inventory. They've held that inventory range. The low of it was like during the London session around PR-2. So right here at the open, they brought it back to, there was some inventory there at around 376, so they brought it back to that. Now I'm seeing the mechanical supply response around PR-1, where I have automation and some other stuff, the VWAP. Everything is congregating around that 390s area. And let me focus here for a second. Had a lot of participation in this area here. Getting the inventory response off of VWAP. A little bit of negotiating here between 400 and VWAP. Volume-wise, I am seeing some new participation at 400. That could take us in either direction. So far, that's lifting the supply. That last little dip right and leading into the open could be one more little inventory grab before we start to explore supply at higher prices. Now we got an inventory response off of 400. It's a lot of, just some budgeting right now, a lot of up and down. Haven't really made a deal for either direction yet. It's looking more, actually, I can see energy from both sides, so sit back and watch and see what they do. Actually, I thought about, I'm gonna say that in a minute. I'm kind of in an open position right now. Let me focus. There's a supply lift. Supply response off the PR low. There's a little smaller range that was created in this 10 to 400 area, coming back to the lows of that, taking us right back to VWAP. I was actually short through that whole period, and that took me out for my pretty much a break even. What I was thinking about, so what I'm trying to do now, usually I've been like using, like just hitting the bid and ask pretty much for my executions, but I kind of want to go back to using resting limit orders, because then when it gets really choppy, I cannot get the, that good of a feel. I get, quote unquote slippage just because it's really choppy when I'm trying to hit the button in a moment. So what I want to do is see if I can still maintain my same system, but use resting orders instead. And I have an idea for how to do that. The only problem right now is I'm trading one of these accounts in NinjaTrader, and using my Stream Deck, it doesn't work out so well. So I also may need to look for a trade copier, and the one that I'm looking at, I would need one that can copy the trades from Sierra Chart to NinjaTrader, and there's one that could potentially do that in AIM-FX. So over the weekend, I thought about actually trying to set that up this morning, that this stream being about that, but I tried it out this weekend and test that out Sunday, because I'm gonna need a live market to actually test that out. So I test it out Sunday evening and see if that can be a solution for me. Brought us back below some MSRP around 380. Did get a supply response there. We found some inventory. In that 370 to 360 range. So right now we're seeing if we want to keep supply here at 380. Right now that supply area is holding. And in these areas, speed is important. So I was looking for, once we got that inventory response below 370, when it came back up to 380, I was trying to see if they was going to hold it, because it didn't quote unquote confirm that as a supply area yet. And the way that it happened, it was kind of tricky, or not the way that I would usually look for them. But it took it. When they brought price back to that supply area, we paused for a few seconds, probably about a minute or two, and that pause is significant, because if it's going to break it down, typically, not all the time, it'll break it down quickly. It'll break those areas quickly, and it'll move in the other direction. But the energy is kind of slow. Once again, for RTH, for this open, it's kind of been a theme for February. A lot of energy before the open, and then at least during A period, things will slow down, and it won't be a whole lot of participation that I'm used to typically seeing. So we're back to near that overnight session low, or during the session low, where we were picking up inventory overnight around PR minus 2. Set up some quick supply off of 360. Now we're negotiating around 360. Looking for that 360 deal. Starting to lift the supply back into automation. That previous coming back, almost front running that previous supply around 380, went back into that zone. The way they set that up would make sense to have some more sell interest in that area. So those that are aware of that would recognize that and would front run that area to almost ensure that their orders will get filled. Got a little this inventory response, like right above 356 that they keep picking up inventory off of. Gave me another scalp. And with it being Friday and all this stuff, that's gonna be the last one, at least in my regular account. A lot of front running going on. That inventory response, almost like it's a V shape, where we brought price back to now here at 350. That was a front run of the session low. So this is just mostly showing me that wholesale doesn't have a lot of clients to serve right now, and they're just doing their thing. This is heavy wholesale type of price action from my perspective. As the break of the session low, I'll be looking to see if we actually have some follow through, or do we look below and fail. It's also been popular lately. And drop the session low down to 330. Nice little 10-point mechanical reaction there. Build some volume around 335 as we start to see some follow through. Taking advantage of that liquidity that they worked hard to build over, throughout the session. Oops. And I'm gonna lie, it's been only 15 minutes. We're only 15 minutes into the session, but it actually feels like it's been longer. Which is, as an internal awareness to myself, that's kind of interesting, something I should explore. Do some journaling later on. Speaking of journal, I put out I made a journal for myself, like an actual hardcover physical journal. But I'm also putting that on Amazon for anybody, that also would like to have a physical journal. That's on Amazon. The link is in the Discord, and I can actually put it in in the chat. Because I'm not really trading at this moment. Drop the link in the chat. I'm not even promoting it hard because the goal for me was actually to make it for myself. But since I made it on Amazon, it is available for anybody else that want one. Then I make a video on that one too at some point. Current supply around 336. Continuing to drop the inventory. Drop in our session low. So on the micro scale, that is printing as a look below and fail potentially. Let's see if we actually get some follow through on that, or if that's just a nice little head fake to create some liquidity. Because I can just tell in the flow, there's not a whole lot of participation. For an A period and for a Friday. So far that's printing like we just need to create a little bit more liquidity. But we're not out of this range yet, not out of the shop. Looking to see if we drop the session low one more time. In this inventory zone, we got some participation building. It slightly lift supply, but we came right back inside of this little shop here. Back into the inventory. Let's see if we can, what we do down here. Should be some stops below 310. So far, they're not really using that. Hit the button at that time and it kind of messed my order up, so I had to just kill it. But it came back and filled me. That wouldn't have been how I wanted it to play out, so completely killed the position on that one. That was actually, funny enough, that was the best trade of the day for me. Now there's the break. We're looking to see if they run those stops. If we now, if I wouldn't have had that kind of order mishap, I would still be holding this. Not a lot of energy as we drop the session low. You can see this going in either direction. It should also be around the daily 256. I think we dropped below it now. Yep. Which should, the way that that's set up structurally around that moving average, could potentially excite some short sellers as well as some buyers. Actually got a pivot in this area here from a daily perspective. Inventory response off of 300. We got 4 minutes before B period, the B period rotation. Well, that's more of a transition than a rotation. So that brought us back inside of that 310 shop. Picked up some inventory around that area that I was just talking about, around 300. Now we're starting to see a little bit of energy pickup. It only really means that we're covering more space in a shorter amount of time. From here to see if we change the current trend, I'll be looking at 330. Once again, picking up some inventory off of 310, inside of that 310 range. So that's more like 312. There's a participation gap between 312 and 310. Back into this micro supply around 324. It's also a good time to send out a reminder for trader triggers. Will be at 11 today. The last one I kind of actually ended up, I was supposed to put it at 11, but when I uploaded it, or when I made it live, I forgot to schedule it at the time, and it went out before 11. But this one is actually scheduled at 11 today. I'll get right one day. We had some supply at 324. We're lifting that supply. We paused at 330. Nice mechanical supply response at 330. So with that response, if we break above 330, that should be significant. There's the break. Now we're gonna jump on the elevator. Not quite ready to run yet, but as a pretty strong break. We've broken through a few areas of previous supply. As some would say, we have run out of supply. But I don't read it that way. I don't even know why I said it but it just came to my mind. But to me, that doesn't mean anything. It's the fact that we run out of something doesn't mean that it can't be, because this is a live market. So just because we run out of something, it doesn't take much to replace what we ran out of. And another way I've kind of heard this expressed from those who read what is it called? like time and sales and all that stuff. You can have like hidden sellers and buyers if you're just looking at the numbers, you're looking at the internals. So typically orders are sent to the book ahead of time, and that's what you end up seeing in the internals once you look at all the like the tape or whatever, right? These are things I don't, maintain awareness to. I just look at the actual participation, but that's why I'm struggling to find the words. But typically those orders are sent in advance, but strategically there are certain participants that will hold off and they'll send them at the last minute just to get whatever participation that they want to see. And if they see that participation, then they'll send their orders. And which is typically referred to as hidden sellers or hidden buyers. And that can happen at any moment. The only person that knows when that's going to happen is the person actually executing. So that's just why I just look at it. I've learned the personality of NQ, and this is a supply zone. Are we lifting it? Or are we lowering it? And that's all I look at. Keep it simple. But I found trying to make it too complicated just throws too many variables in there, and then it can get confusing and not really be helpful in the long run. It may help for this moment, for this period, or this phase, but eventually making it too complicated and putting in too many variables can actually, put in more confusion, which triggers emotions. And then it's just short-lived. So we've made our way back to the overnight range back inside. So we had the overnight session low. And the chart's moving too fast. Okay, at 337. And now we're back above that. Staying on the elevator. Wouldn't say we had that much of a B-force response. We just picked up all the inventory. They spent all their time picking up a lot of inventory, and now we're paying ourselves, and we being wholesale. Handing that inventory back off to supply. I also kind of have evidence of it being wholesale because it was done quantitatively. On some nice mechanical areas. So now that we made it back inside of that range, we once again are finding interest in 360. Could be starting to cycle over again as we get a supply response off of 360. Quick inventory around 352 that was lowered down below 350. We're also picking up some of this inventory kind of mechanically right in my MSRP that I just referred to as an indicator that I'm just referring to as MSRP now because I forgot what it is. I've been calling it MSRP for so long. I don't even know what indicator that is. I think it's a, I don't, let me not even tell the wrong information. But I'm sure I made a video about these before. Maybe in that one of those wholesale videos. Which brought us back into automation. But it's not even really important for me to know what it is at this point, because that's only relevant for me. These are indicators that I see as being significant based off of my perspective and what I'm doing. And, you know, I strongly encourage trading from within. So I would highly recommend that you find whatever it is that makes sense to you the most and use that. Because while I do find significance in the things that I put on my charts, they're not 100%. So these are not the things that's going to make anybody a better trader. Everything, the things that have made me better, is the psychological side of it. Honestly, every single indicator that I've ever put on my chart has some sort of technical value. And I just narrowed that down to the ones I like the most. It's like really just a feel, but I didn't get better as a trader until I fixed the psychological issues that I had. It had nothing to do with all these indicators, and it's not even so much with the way that I read the charts now and the narratives that I've built. I mean, that kind of helped remove some of me building this narrative around wholesale and the way I understand wholesale. That kind of helped remove some of my fear based off of not knowing. Just because I kind of know, because I built a narrative that made sense to me. And that kind of helped psychologically, but there was other things that were born out of situations that has nothing to do with trading that I was carrying into my trading sessions. Once I dealt with those and I resolved those issues, then that's when I became more consistent, more disciplined. I wasn't getting caught up in fear as much. Like, you know, I wasn't being trapped by my own emotions, right? Like now I don't trade with that much emotion at all. And the only times I may feel emotions is based off of what I'm doing, based off of my participation, not anything. It doesn't have anything to do with the market. So if I trade my strategy well, then I'll feel positive about that. If I make a mistake, I won't beat myself up about it. But, you know, I will feel some type of way, just being honest. And then I go through my process of fixing whatever that mistake is, or coming up with a resolution for that mistake. And then I move forward. And it was just that whole thing was just a slow process over time. So what I see most traders need, it's interesting when I go through and look at people's questions and stuff and responses on places like Reddit and Facebook and, you know, all the places that people like to talk about trading and ask questions. The focus on time, a lot of times, is the issue. Expecting to, and it's understandable in this industry with how many people kind of promote the positive side of it, but didn't really tell the audience how they got to the positive side of trading. Usually because they're trying to sell something. So it makes sense that there's this what can I call it, like a misinterpretation of the time frame that things should happen, right? But that's what I usually see, and it's no one, I can't say that you should be successful in 4 months or 4 years or 5 years, because it's going to be based off of what you're dealing with. I would have to know each and every single person to put out an actual number there, right? It took me 3 years to actually really start to fix some of my psychological issues. And then it took, let's say, another year for that to reflect inside of my trading. And then I spent like another year just working on this strategy that I use now. But for somebody else, it's not, maybe that's carrying different baggage or carrying their own personality or their own experiences into this, it could be much shorter. It's kind of turned into a Trader Triggers, but wasn't really supposed to be that. But we are definitely at the, clearly I'm not taking any more trades today because I'm at the end of my window. And I'm just looking at a lot of budgeting with what NQ is doing. Today for me was a light trading session because I got off to a good start pretty much, and really I had that in mind, before I even started today's session, because I got a lot of ideas in my head, and I don't want to be too aggressive with all these ideas, because with all these ideas, there's going to be a lack of focus with actually with what I'm supposed to be doing. So fortunately for me, it turned out that my trades just worked out today. It wasn't the easiest thing. This has not been the easiest week to trade, the way that they've been moving price around. But for the most part, the strategy has been working out, at least to pick up a lot of scalps and break evens. So just to mean that I had a good week this week overall, even though it wasn't you get the best setups in the world, but it definitely could have been worse. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and close up my shop, close up the session for today. I appreciate everybody for coming through, kicking it with me, taking the time to listen to the things that the things that I want to share and all that good stuff. So as a reminder, got the Trader Triggers in about 45 minutes. And if you're interested in that journal planner, it's a daily planner and all that kind of stuff. The link is in the chat. I'll put it in the description later. You can check that out on Amazon. And I hope you all have a good weekend. And until next time, trade it easy.